Well, today I would like to do a review of James Blish Star Trek adaptations. And what prompted me to do this was I had seen a great review recently by Trek World on this same topic. And he really goes into great detail, and I will have a link embedded into my review here. And also I will have a post that will include my review and a link to his great review with a lot of graphics, and he really goes into the history of these adaptations. Now, I had started hearing about Star Trek before it was ever aired. There were commercials on TV, there were advertisements in the magazines, and I was hearing about it, and so I was very excited to see it. Unfortunately, it was not aired in the city that I lived in. And what we had to do back in those days of broadcast TV and analog TV, you had antennas, and everybody's aware of this, I'm sure, but they were directional, very directional. You had unidirectional antennas, but they were quite expensive and really large. So with the show not being aired where I lived, my brother and I worked out an agreement. I would go out of our upstairs bedroom window, which was actually 2 bedrooms and a bathroom, and it was one great big long dormer that went the width of the house. But you could climb out of the second story window of our bedroom and be on the roof of the house, and I would climb up the chimney, and my brother would be downstairs yelling up at me from the downstairs living room while I was up on the chimney when I had the antenna pointed in the proper direction to get the channel that we were looking for. And so we would do that about 15 minutes before the show would start, and then I'd have to run upstairs and change it back because then Dad would not be able to see his football games during the summer, or the basketball games, some of them that he wanted to watch during the winter. So I had to go up and do this year round, but we did see every episode. And I've talked about this before, but my brother and I laugh about this all the time. And I had it was kind of fun to do, a little scary. But here are my Star Trek memorabilia, which I've gone through a little bit before. I do not have my first paperwork from joining the Star Trek fan club about 1968, but this is my paperwork from 1969, and this is, there was a big push to try to save Star Trek for the second season, and another big push to try to save Star Trek again after the third season. I wasn't as excited about trying to save Star Trek for the third season because Roddenberry really wasn't much involved in the third season, and I could tell. But I still, I remained a large fan of Star Trek, and here is my David Gerrold book. I had the original from 1973. This is the revised edition from 1974. I'm sorry, 1984. And so they did pretty much revive Star Trek. Here is my program from the Star Trek the Motion Picture. We picked one of these up at the first showing of the movie, and I've had it all these years, and it is in great shape and a lot of fun to look at from time to time. And of course, Star Trek made a resurgence with Star Trek Next Generation, which I watched the first season of, but then Roddenberry fell ill, and his influence was pretty much out the window at that point, and I still watch the show occasionally. But like everyone else from my era, we have DVDs of Star Trek. So that was all a lot of fun. But around 1975, Gene Roddenberry was touring with a movie that he had made. It was actually the original pilot episode, but they had cut up the original pilot episode to turn it into 2 episodes of the second edition of Star Trek. And so what he had done is he had cobbled together the video from those 2 episodes, and then he had found some black and white, pretty rough video film of the parts that were missing. And we watched that at a local university here in a really large field house. And that was great. I mean, I went there with my science fiction fan club. My future wife went with me. And Roddenberry invited us all up to speak to him he had a little podium out there in front of this really, movie theater size screen they had in the field house. There were great big speakers before it started, and there were hundreds and hundreds of people there. But I went up with about 10 or 15 guys from the science fiction book club science fiction fan club I was in at the time. And Mr. Roddenberry spoke with us for about 15, 20 minutes. I was able to ask him some questions. He was very gracious. He was very friendly. He discussed Star Trek. And then we watched the film, and I've never forgotten that. And that was a great experience. And he seemed like a nice person. So we watched the film, and I can't really remember what we called the science fiction fan club that I was in, and I'm just kidding here, but we might have called it something like the Available Accessible Science Fiction Fan Club, because we had people, even from the Astronomy Club that I was in, crossed over to the Science Fiction Fan Club. Just a wide range of folks, and it was great. Kind of disintegrated around 1992 as we all kind of lost interest in the current science fiction. But back to James Blish and his adaptations. I received the 8-volume box set for Christmas 1972. I knew Blish from reading a lot of his work, and I was expecting something like Surface Tension, Beep, The Box, or even Common Time. And by this time, Christmas 1972, Star Trek original series had been rerun Monday through Friday for roughly 3 years. So I knew the dialogue of each show, and I had, of course, studied Star Trek as well. And bluntly, these adaptations seemed to be written by someone who had never seen the TV episodes, which really surprised me. And if you watch the video, I think he concludes that Mr. Blish did not watch Star Trek. And so I'll just say I was not impressed by the short story versions in my boxed set. And that did not make it through my book collection downsizing of 2012. Now, Trek World also mentioned some of the stories may have been written by Mr. Blish's wife and mother or mother-in-law. I wasn't quite sure on that. But I came across a incredibly great condition set of the hardbound versions. And I feel that the hardbound copies have an intrinsic value. And so I'll just show you guys what I've shown these in a book haul before. Here's the Star Trek reader. And I've cleaned these up and fixed them up as much as possible, and had Mylar covers placed on them. The paper and everything is in really great shape. And these are all science fiction book club editions by E.P. Dutton. And someone had purchased all of these at the same time, I'm sure. They are in fantastic condition. That was the first one. Here's Star Trek Reader 2, 19 novelized, but they're short stories, episodes from Star Trek. And this one is in fantastic condition as well. And I'm actually reading these as over the last few months, trying to get them all finished. Star Trek Reader 3, again in just great shape. This one has 19 novelized, as they refer to them, episodes. And this one is Star Trek Reader 4. And this is 12 more novelized episodes, plus something they are considering a novel, Spock Must Die. And it is less than 100 pages, but I have read it. And, you know, I will keep these and take good care of them. But that's about all I have on that. I would really recommend, if you have an interest in these things, these books and Star Trek original series, to watch the Trek World Review, and I'll have a link to it. And that's about all I have today, and I hope everybody's doing well.